First and foremost, we'd like to welcome everyone to the making of Retro Spectator with myself, Liam Angell.
And myself, Wayne Branford. We are the creators of this project, and we're just going to keep this brief. It's going to run through basically how we went about the ideas and how we built this project.
The original concept was kind of just a basic football highlights show, like what you see on Match of the Day, Sky Sports Football First. Also, but we thought instead of doing current games, we'd go for classic games, kind of like what ESPN Classics do with their Prem Classics program. So we started thinking up names. We thought we didn't want to do Sky Sports because obviously the cliches and that, and everyone would expect Sky Sports. So we decided to change the name to Fly Sports. And then we thought, let's try and come up with an original name for kind of the whole highlight show. So we originally, Prem Classics was thought of, then Retrospect was thought of, but then we settled on Retro Spectator.
Yeah, which is basically, obviously, the term retro meaning the past, and spectator as in a spectator, someone who's a fan of the football. So basically how the program basically works, it's called Retro Spectator, and we're going to have a featured match, basically what happens on Sky Sports, and if you push the red button, then you're going to get a choice of different matches. But obviously, when you're watching the Sky Sports one, you've got a choice of current football matches, but on our program, you've got a choice of classic football matches. Okay, let me just talk about briefly how we went ahead and built this. Basically, what we did is we wanted to have this basically in some kind of virtual studio. So what we did, we went ahead and we built, I went ahead and I built in 3D Studio Max, I built this kind of sports cafe. And basically I decked it out to make it look like a proper cafe. You know, it had the tables, the chairs, the bars, plasma screens, all the rest of it in there. And basically, same like the Sky Sports, our colours was red, blue, and white as well. So we kind of did the whole decoration in that colour. You know, basically, and how this was built, all the decoration for this was all bitmaps built in Photoshop, and then you import it into 3D Studio Max, and that's how you get the texture for the for the backgrounds and all the rest of it. But then, first of all, what we had to do, we had to go and film Liam inside the blue screen studio, and then, you know, obviously composite that into the 3D sports CAF.
Was it? Yeah, you keyed that out within Adobe After Effects, didn't you?
Yeah,
It was one of them long painstaking processes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult things I ever did, because basically what I had to do, I had to actually I had Adobe After Effects open, and I actually had 3D Studio Max open at the same time. So basically I imported the blue screen footage into Adobe After Effects, keyed out the color. I had to use 4 different filters on there. I had to use the color key, the spill suppressor, the matte choker, and the simple choker as well, just to make sure I got it nice and tight. I'm still not 100% happy with the results, but I think it will pass anyway. So I got rid of all the transparency. Then I opened up 3D Studio Max and had to match the virtual camera with a relative position to where he was, and exported the one frame, and then put that one frame behind Liam to kind of give the impression that he was actually stood there inside the CAF. It kind of worked well. It was very difficult, but I'm glad I had to go all the same.
Because we had to film it from a number of different camera angles, so we had enough footage to kind of play with it. So if one angle didn't work, we used the other angle, or just basically whichever angle was easiest to key out. Yeah. And you know, it was always going to be difficult, because what we find is that the studios here at Thames Valley University, the blue screen is not actually like a blue screen. It's like a brick wall kind of painted, and it doesn't give that true brilliant blue.
what you need for proper keying. But
Yeah.
you know, after a lot of messing about, then finally got it in the end. And basically, even when we was filming as well, what I did is we got Liam to kind of look up to the left where the plasma screen was to kind of create some interaction with the news reporter that was actually based inside the, which is actually based inside the Fly Sports news studio as well. So I think that kind of worked well.
I think it gave what we intended to do with the whole Fly News Flash thing is just put in a little bit of a comedic aspect. Yeah, the featured match that we chosen, the Liverpool versus Newcastle match from April '96, sort of like dubbed the greatest Premiership game of all time, which in my view it is, obviously. But it's a case of we thought we needed to add a little bit of a comedic aspect. Yes, the football's exciting, but we had the 3D elements. But we thought, yeah, for the Fly News thing, which again Wayne did in 3D Studio Max and After Effects, we thought we may as well add a comedic aspect. So that's why we've got all the graphics like wecan'thelp.com, and also the Big Ben
Yes,
thing that again Wayne can take credit for, because it was just amazingly done. It looks as real as it pretty much can do. So
Definitely the hardest thing that I ever did, but it was just all a build up really. Sometimes it wasn't totally scripted, it was just a build up, because after I built the multi screen with the different, basically I just took 6 layers of 6 screen layers and slapped them on. Just went over one layer in After Effects, and that's basically how I created it. But then there was the rotating pitch as well, which was basically a JPEG imported into After Effects, made it into a 3D layer, changed the orientation of it, and then we span it to rotate it to reveal the opposite sides. But then that's when Liam came in with the whole, how did you do that, the whole Google Earth thing?
The Google Earth thing, it was a case of there was a couple of programs used within it. Basically, I found out the postcode of Liverpool's Anfield Stadium, and then what I did is I typed that into Google Earth, and what Google Earth does, it does a short video, so you can make it zoom in from space all the way into the particular postcode that you've picked. So what I did is I used that zoom, and I used another program called Snagit, which took a video screen dump essentially of the zoom in. And then I kind of spliced between it. I split it up into 3 parts, and then I kind of faded in between each part, just to make it, not only to make it quicker, but to make it a little more smooth as well. And then in Illustrator and a combination of that and Photoshop, did the actual 2 club badges and tried to give them a slight shine or kind of 3D look, as it were. So
how did you do the transitions? The upscale.
The upscale transition between each goal and each replay, that was actually done within Final Cut Pro. I got the Fly Sports logo, which Wayne had originally designed, and using keyframing in Final Cut Pro, actually upscaled it. So it come from being about that big to basically filling up the whole screen. That was just a little bit of keyframing, sped up a little bit just to make it go a little faster. For the sound effect for it, I've got quite a lot to thank wrestling for. It was actually taken from a WCW World Championship Wrestling pay-per-view called WCW Greed back in 2001, and what I did is I isolated that particular sound effect, lifted it from a DVD, and then slotted it into our project. The sound effect with the Google Earth thing, same sort of thing. When the WCW logo comes swinging in right at the beginning of every single telecast, it's got kind of a big, massive echoing sound effect. I thought, let me take that off and use that for the Google Earth thing, just like what Match of the Day do, because Match of the Day do their own kind of zoom style logo. So I thought, yeah, that would fit perfectly for what we were trying to achieve.
Yeah, definitely worked well. It definitely worked well at talk. It was definitely much more realistic for me. But what I will do is to kind of wrap up now. Obviously, if you want more details, you got to read the critical log because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
It's just basically a brief overview of what we've done. The hardest thing again was the Big Ben thing. And basically, how I did that, it was just a normal JPEG, and what I did, I took some fire footage and I put it over two specific places on actual Big Ben itself, and then I had to copy the fire again. And then the second fire, I added the tint filter to it just to kind of make it look kind of black grey, because I wanted it to look like real smoke, just to kind of add a little smoke effect to it. In that one clip alone, there's actually 9 different layers in there, and it took ages. It's painstakingly long. I think it could have worked a little bit better, but someone like me who just kind of jumped on this whole After Effects thing, no training, I think it kind of worked well. And finally, the whole DVD construction itself, the whole flying into the plasma screen, that was something which was done in After Effects, and I took the one frame, exported the one frame, and then I made that one frame, took the one frame out, put it into DVD Encore, converted the labels into buttons, and then that's how it just kind of morphed into one.
There's a ton load of elements. I mean, as Wayne said, see the critical analysis if you want to see in depth of how the footage we got was ripped off a DVD that I have of the Liverpool Newcastle game. And just basically the commentary at times had to be rejigged, reshifted, just because sometimes there were long gaps. There were actually really long gaps between it, so we had to bring that in. And the amount of replays was taken down from 3 to 2 for each goal. So, I mean, as a project, would you reckon? I think it worked well.
I think it did work well for our first goal. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist, as you probably might know by now. So there's a few things I'm not too happy with, especially the bit with when Liam's talking in the studio, because it's not a brilliant blue behind the people behind in the blue screen. It's not a brilliant blue behind. It's kind of looked like he's flapping in the wind, and I wasn't particularly happy about that. But that is more apparent on white backgrounds than it is with blue backgrounds. That's why you don't really notice it so much when you see the reporter in the Fly Sports studio and it's actually a blue ground with breaking news going in the back. But again, overall project, I think it was pretty good. It was only me and him, and we was under a lot of pressure. And I am knackered, and I'm off to the pub.
Fatigue factor setting in. Definite fatigue factor setting in.
Okay.
Just have to wrap that up. Thanks for watching the Retro Spectator making of.
Yep.
And we'll see you all next time.
Yeah. I love you, boy. See you later.